Hello everyone. In this podcast, I want to show you different techniques for removing weight. It's also the time we're going to start talking about the component editor. So to start off with is I'm going to go into my character and I'm going to go to my arm here, and you can see how the weighting is actually applied and smoothed. But then the weight I was over here in the forearm or the upper arm, you can see there's like weight distributed amongst the body that I definitely did not paint. I didn't paint this. I didn't paint this, and I didn't paint this stuff here. This part is starting to get into it's an okay area. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to remove weight. Now, anytime you remove weight, no matter what technique I'm covering in this, there's a risk of it going someplace you do not want it to. So it's always preferable to add weight, but unfortunately, it's not a very pleasant way of doing it because to add weight to one thing to take it away from another area is extremely difficult to do. So sometimes you have to remove weights. So what are my rules for removing weight and when is it okay? Blue weights are normally small weights that when you actually take them away, they normally go to the influences that make sense. I also normally only remove weights when they're far away from the major target area. Like I would never remove weights around here. I'm only removing small weights around here. So these are the blue weights in here are representing very small weights. I'll never remove weights that are like 10 or 20 or 30% of weighting because they have a bigger and higher chance of getting redistributed amongst multiple joints and making my life more of a problem. So in this case, I have to select these verts and I'm going to go into the component editor. So if I select away, how do I know what I'm selecting here? Yes, I could kind of go in and select my vertexes and hope I got the right influence, but we got another method for that. If I select on my geometry and go into my paint weights, we have some modes here. Paint is painting weights. Select is selecting vertices just like normal. And in paint selection allows me to literally paint what I'm selecting. The downside of these guys is when you're jumping back and forth between them, they like to bug out and make you where you have to get out, reselect the mesh, and go back into paint weights mode. It happens all the time. It'll probably happen during this example. So now that I have that, I want to go into the component editor. So I say Window, General Editor, Component Editor. So this is for information on all components, not just weights. So I go all the way over to smooth skin, and I can see right now that the back is influencing these vertices, 2 and 3. Arm, clavicle, clavicle. Those guys aren't supposed to be influencing it. So if I grab these and zero them out, you can see interactively it redistributes weights amongst these guys. Sometimes this doesn't update in real time. So sometimes I click away and click back, but these guys, those weights are gone. A downside about using this paint selection is right now it's only in add mode. So you have to click remove and then you can remove these influences and you can see this is interactively changing. I go back to add and I can click, and again, I can do the same thing here. Okay, so I can say, boom. So that's one way of actually removing weights. Anything can be, you can do anything with your weights in the component editor. It's just a big spreadsheet of information. So it will definitely tell you what data is where. So I love using this little menu. The point is I normally have a shelf button for it. So I'm going to click paint and we'll click weight. I'm going to show you the other method. I'm going to go back into my paint weights. I'm going to go to the clavicle, which is kind of a mess on here. So there's a lot of weight here that's distributed amongst the whole character. So the other method I can do is painting to replace. So I can say replace, and when you do this, you have to be in the full opaque because you want to make sure that you're going to be painting completely to this, and I'm going to paint to 0. This is technically the same thing I did with the component editor, but I'm doing on a per joint basis. So the component editor is eliminating everything in one shot. So yes, it's abstract, but it's definite that you know things are going, you know exactly where they're going. So now I can go in and I can just remove my weight this way. This is very interactive and very easy to work with, but the chance of something going wrong is increasing on here because you can't see if these are actually going to another influence. And I'd like to show you all my techniques. That is as far as I will go. I'm getting worried even wasting that stuff right there because those weights are getting hard to tell how much they are. Again, what I need to do is I need to select around if I'm using this method. You should be doing this anyway, where you're going back and forth between multiple, like, wait, that wasn't there before. Where did he come from? So that can be kind of irritating. So since that guy popped up multiple times, go into the component editor and get rid of him there. Don't get frustrated that it should be working. This is how it is. So, if those type of things happen, go in the component editor and nail it out from there. It's only one little guy. And I can go through here. Again, you are responsible for making sure your weighting looks good. So if this technique breaks your system, you should be saving before going in here. If you're not saving on multiple files, if you're saving over the same file over and over and over again, or working on large periods of time, you are going to lose all your work. That is just painting weights in Maya. You're constantly undoing and working and undoing because you don't like it. Sometimes you'll undo and it won't undo, or it'll just crash. So when you finish a body part, save and move on. If I sound like I've said this in a bunch of podcasts, it's because it is a real danger. I lose work all the time into it. And it's not just stability, it's just that Maya doesn't like to undo things all the time, and this is not as stable on those. So that's a method for replacing weights onto it. Again, I want to reiterate, don't do that as you go along. Do different, finish a limb and then go through and do it.